What are the most Israeli things? In this video, I chose 10 things that summarize, in my opinion, the essence of the Israeliness. My number one is Friday night dinner. The Israeli society is very much family orientated. Even if you're in your 20s or 30s or 50s, you see your parents every week or every second week. Usually, the families meet together at Friday night evening for dinner. And what if you don't like your family or the family of your wife? There is nothing you can do about it. You have to see them. That's how it goes. One reason for it is that the distances in Israel are short. Israel is tiny, but it is deeper than that. Even Israelis that travel outside Israel go for Friday night dinners with complete strangers. One reason for it is the importance of Shabbat, Saturday in the Jewish culture. The Jewish day, by the way, doesn't start by midnight, but when the sun sets. So Friday evening is actually the beginning of Saturday, and Saturday evening is the beginning of Sunday, and so on. Anyway, remember the Shabbat day, to keep it holy, is one of the 10 commandments. And although I am a secular Jew, I really like this idea of holy time. The idea of holy places is something that almost all cultures have. We have the idea of holy time, when you stop working and come together. My number two is Pakal Kafe. Pakal Kafe is basically a coffee kit. The words Pakal stands for the words Pkudat Keva Lalochem, which means something like all the things a soldier should have with him at all times, or something like that. But as in many other cases, army slangs receive other meanings outside military life. If you have ever hiked with Israelis anywhere in the world, then you definitely have seen this already. Once the summit has been reached or some other beautiful spot, Israelis will put out a cloth bag containing a small portable burner, a little pot, a couple of glasses, sugar and coffee, and then they make coffee and eat cookies. My number three is Ptitim. When people think about the history of Israel, they usually think about the conflict, but one of Israel's greatest crises occurred in the 50s. The country almost ran out of food. At times, there were only enough basic food products in stock for like a couple of days. This was also the time of mass immigration wave of Jews that fled Arab countries. And by the way, in Hebrew, we don't say that Jews immigrated to Israel. We say that they did aliyah, came up to Israel. So the Jews from Arabic countries did aliyah, and Ben Gurion, our first prime minister, was told that they are used to eat couscous and rice. There was almost no rice, so Ben Gurion turned to Osem, a large Israeli food company that made pasta, and asked them to create a wheat-based rice substitute. Osem rose to the challenge by creating Ptitim, which are toasted pasta balls. In the early years, it was called Ben Gurion rice. Today, Ptitim is one of the favorite foods of Israeli children. Ptitim, schnitzel, and ketchup are what Israeli children need when they come home from kindergarten or school. And I made a video about what you can learn about the Israeli society from visiting a supermarket, and I will leave the link below or up here. My next thing is the Israeli army. When you walk through the streets of Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, you will see more soldiers than in other Western countries. You will mostly see them on Sunday morning doing their way to the base, and on Thursdays and Friday coming back. Israel is the only country in the world where women have to serve. Men serve for 3 years and women for 2. So we enroll when we finish school at 18 and serve until we are the age of 20 or 21. I think that one of the most important aspects of the army, one that you don't hear about, is that the army is a melting pot. In other countries, a child who is born to a well-to-do family usually lives in the nice side of town, goes to a good school and to a prestige university, and stay in his social bubble. This is true for the poor child as well. The army brings together Israelis from the north and from the south, the city and the countryside, rich and poor, religious and secular, Ashkenazim, which are Jews with European background, and Sfaradim, which are Jews that did Aliyah from Arabic countries. In the elite units, cyber intelligence and the Air Force, they get the smartest soldiers. But if you're like an average guy, like myself, you go to the big army, infantry and tanks, and you get to serve with the people that you would have never worked outside the army. After 3 years of service, you go to Miluim, which means reserve army. Every year you go for about 2-3 weeks of training until you are 45. I did it until I was 32, and then the battalion where I served was dismantled, and then they don't call me anymore, and that is just fine with me. My number 5 is Matkot. Israelis are good at many things. The percentage of students enrolled in universities is one of the highest in the world. We have a strong army. 10 Israelis won the Nobel Prize. We also have a lot of high tech. But if there is one thing that we are not very good at, it's sport. Soccer and basketball are our most popular sports, but even in them we are not that good. The Israeli soccer team only managed to reach the FIFA World Cup once in Mexico back in 1970. This might be the reason that we invented a game with no losers, Matkot. The goal is simple. Keep on hitting the rubber ball as much as you can until it falls. If you will go to the beach, you won't miss it. My next thing is an Israeli character, lack of politeness or formality. During one of my guided tours, I sat with a tourist couple in a restaurant in Jerusalem. The man ordered a fish dish and his wife ordered the same dish. The waitresses who took the order said to them, "Don't be boring, try something else." This is how it is in Israel. Everyone has something to say. Politeness and formality are interpreted by the Israelis as distance and coldness. Israelis prefer openness and being direct. This has its advantages. People are warmer and say what's on their minds, but it also has its downsides. There is no personal space. When English people stand in line, then you have one person standing, behind him with a fair distance another person, and so on. In Israel, a line is one person guarding his place, right behind him 2 people, right behind them 4, behind them 8. You get it? People enter your personal space and tell you what their opinion, even if you're not interested in hearing them. Now, if you will ask Israelis for the most Israeli things, I think the first thing they will say is something with food, probably falafel or hummus or bamba, which is the national snack. But we didn't invent the falafel or the hummus. And for non-Israeli, bamba is just another peanut butter snack. The true Israeli food is schnitzel in a pita. This dish really captures the essence of Israel. The original Austrian schnitzel is from veal. The Israeli version is from chicken breast. The original side dish is potato salad or cucumber. In Israel, people don't have the time, so the schnitzel comes in a pita with hummus, salad, and pickles. It's great. You have to try it when you come. My number 8 is the kibbutz. Now, if you're Israeli or know Israel a bit, you are probably rolling your eyes thinking that the kibbutz should have been on this list in the 60s, but not today. But I do think it should be on this list, and in a minute I will say why. A kibbutz is a collective community. The first kibbutz, Dgania, was established in 1909 with a dream of establishing a community based on socialist ideas and equality. Dozens of kibbutzes were formed in the 30s and 40s, but after 2 generations in the 70s, due to changes in the Israeli society and economy, most of the kibbutzim have gone through the process of privatization, and today each member has a salary. They no longer eat 3 meals together, and the children grow up with their parents and not in a children's house as it used to be. From the 280 kibbutzim, only about 70 of them are still communal, and it is not because of the socialist idealism that burns into their heart, but because they have a successful factory and the kibbutz they are living in is rich. And I find it very interesting that at the end, the only kibbutzes that manage to retain their communal way do so because they were successful in the capitalist world. Socialism is a privilege that only the rich kibbutzim can afford. The kibbutz is on this list, and not just because of nostalgia. The kibbutz movement had a huge impact on the Israeli society, and despite its failure, the kibbutz is the only place in the world that socialism, or even almost communism, was as it's supposed to be. In all other countries, Russia, China, East Germany, and so on, it was a terrible dictatorship, and the only place where tens of thousands of people live together in a community is Israel. My number 9 is Shimon Peres. Now in Wikipedia it is written that Shimon Peres was born in 1923, but it cannot be true. He was born at least 500 years ago. What Shimon Peres accomplished in his life is unbelievable. When he was 29, he was the Director General of the Ministry of Defense and established the Dimona nuclear reactor. Now, I'm not saying that Israel has nuclear weapons. I'm just saying that if it has, Shimon Peres brought it before he was 30. He served as a member of Congress for more than 48 years, during which he was the head of the Avoda, the Labor Party. He was the Ministry of Finance, Interior, Foreign Affairs, Defense, and the head of the opposition. He was the president and served as prime minister twice. He spoke 6 languages and wrote 11 books. Now his path wasn't easy. Within Israel, he suffered for years from a problematic reputation. He has lost many political elections, even some in which his election seemed like a closed deal, a fact that gave him the reputation of a loser. In addition, he also executed a few sticky political moves. One of them, which received the nickname the dirty trick, was when he tried to overthrow the government of which he was a member at the time. But despite all of this, he was Israel's most influential politician. My number 10 is Arik Einstein, by far Israel's greatest singer. It is hard to explain to non-Israelis the importance of Arik Einstein because he wasn't just the most popular singer. Many countries have iconic musical figures like Elvis in the US or the Beatles in the UK, but Arik Einstein, in a way like Shimon Peres, he was there from the beginning, so he did everything. He was in the army bands in the 50s, and then in the 60s he invented the Israeli pop and rock. He made the first music video clips and the first trash nonsense comedy films. Then he had some good old Israeli folk albums, and in between he recorded some of the best known children's songs. He also worked with and promoted many of Israel's best singers. The Israeli music would have been totally different without him. And the crazy thing is that despite being so popular, he was a simple and modest man who preferred to stay at home and didn't really enjoy performing. Arik Einstein died in 2013, and his death hit the Israeli public very hard. Out of the many speeches and articles about him, I found the best description of him in a German newspaper. It isn't simple to describe who Arik Einstein was for the Israelis. He was part of their country's soul. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my channel down here. Just click the button and make me happy. If you think I forgot anything on my list, or if you want to add anything Israeli, do it in the comment section below. You can also support me by purchasing my booklets. See you in the next video, and bye for now.